Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. I hope everyone had an amazing Thanksgiving with their families. And to end off the week, there has been a lot of news in the financial markets surrounding Google and Meta in talks where Meta will buy TPU chips from Google. And there has been a lot of questions and concerns, which is natural, around Nvidia's dominance within the AI trade and what this does to Nvidia's dominance. Now, what's important to understand is that there is a big difference between Nvidia's chips and Google's TPU chips. One of the main differences amongst other differences is that Nvidia's GPU chips is used for general purpose tasks, while Google's TPU chips is used for specific tasks per se, right? So now from a long-term perspective, does this impact Nvidia from a long-term perspective? I don't think this impacts Nvidia from a long-term perspective. And the reason why is that Nvidia is still the leader when it comes to the AI trade in terms of their customer base, their market dominance, the innovation that they continuously put out to the market, and also too their profit margins, including their demand for their data center chips, amongst other things as well. So I don't think this impacts Nvidia from a long-term perspective based on the research that I have done based on this news. And also too, I want you guys to understand this as well. When it comes to news and narratives like this, to be very cautious and be very aware, because oftentimes people may be looking at this news and their investment strategy may change, or the way they look at a particular company may change. But I want you guys to all understand this, that news and narratives many times, if not most of the time, impacts stock prices. A lot of times it impacts investor sentiment, and that in turn may impact how a stock moves in the long term. Now, just as a disclaimer, the information and opinions I'm providing in this video are not financial advice. This is only used for educational purposes only. So please seek the advice of a certified financial advisor, and just understand that investing and trading comes with substantial risk. Now, with this Google news and Nvidia news and Meta, now, going back to what I said with news and narratives, it's very important to understand that, because if you're going just based off news and narratives, that may alter the way you look at a company. And I want you guys to always remember this. Do not just be moved by news and narratives, but instead, you should be moved by the fundamentals and the technicals. That is very important. Now, with regards to the news and narratives, you can consider the news and narratives. You can, look at the news and see what's going on. But to be totally moved by the news and narratives and not look at the fundamentals and the technicals, then you are not looking at it from a long-term perspective, and you're not being logical in terms of your investment strategy. Now, if you're looking at it from a long-term perspective, I think this may potentially benefit Nvidia, because this may put some pressure on Nvidia to, innovate more effectively, or change up some things. But in terms of what Nvidia is already doing, I mean, they have clear market dominance. The innovation that they're deploying to the market is top notch, and also too, their customer base is very broad. They have majority of their customer base is from big tech companies, and they are still probably the biggest and best company when it comes to the AI trade. So they will probably continue to innovate, considering this news, to maintain their dominance within the AI race. Now, as for me, when I look at Nvidia from a long-term perspective, I'm personally not concerned about this news, because when I'm looking at Nvidia, I'm looking at it from a long-term perspective, meaning that I'm looking at different things to understand what is the long-term strategy when it comes to what Nvidia is doing with their innovation, what are they doing when it comes to their future outlook, when it comes to the next 5 to 10 years. That's how I look at it when I'm investing as a long-term investor. And when it comes to news like this, I want you guys to also consider this as well, because this is very important. You want to be, there's nothing wrong with being concerned. That's natural for investors to be concerned. But when you look at news like this, you have to ask yourself these questions. What is their profit margins? What is their market dominance? Who are their main customers? For Nvidia being they were previously at a $5 trillion market cap. I think that they are still probably the biggest tech company, and possibly the biggest company by market cap on the stock market. I could be wrong, but I think they are still the biggest by market cap. And also too, in addition to who are their main customers, what steps are they taking to continuously innovate and maintain their dominance within the AI trade? Now, when it comes to their customers, Meta and Google are some of Nvidia's biggest customers. when you talk about Meta and Google, they both are big buyers of Nvidia's chips, including Microsoft and a whole number of tech companies, right? So when it comes to this news, it doesn't really concern me because once you ask yourself these questions about Nvidia, what they're doing as a company in terms of their innovation, their customer base, and all things that they're doing to make sure that the company is profitable in the long term, the next 5, 10, 15, or even 20 years possibly. Once you ask yourself these questions, including many other questions, because when it comes to investing in these companies, you have to make sure that you do your own due diligence into these companies because trading and investing comes with considerable risk. So you want to make sure that you are properly implementing a good investment strategy that will make sure that you can hedge in the market, possibly, minimize your losses and mitigate any risk, right? So that's very important. And once you ask yourself these questions, it will give you a better perspective on how to further analyze these companies. And once you do that, you'll be able to get a better understanding of how to look at these companies from a long-term perspective. Now, when it comes to these news, as I said before, I'm not concerned about it. I don't think many people should be concerned. Now, if you are concerned, there's nothing wrong with that because that's what comes with investing. Whenever news like this comes out, it moves a lot of investors a lot, and a lot of investors then they go away from the fundamentals and the technicals, and they look strictly based on the news and narratives. I don't want you to do that. What people have to understand is that you can't just be moved by the news and the narratives. You have to be moved by the fundamentals and the technicals. That is very, very, very important. Now, when it comes to this news, that's the news that came out from the markets this week, which probably impacted Nvidia's stock price from where it was at previously around the $200 price level. But in terms of this news, I'm not really concerned. And yeah, and that's the video for today. As a disclaimer, once again, the information and opinions I'm providing are not financial advice. I'm only using this as educational purposes only. Seek the advice from a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence into these publicly traded companies because trading and investing comes with substantial risks. So make sure you do that. And yeah, when it comes to news like this, be aware, be cautious, and just be very mindful of what the news and what the narratives is and how that then impacts investor sentiment and how that then impacts the stock price. And just like I said before, you want to be moved not just by the news and the narratives, but by the fundamentals and the technicals. There is nothing wrong with looking at news and narratives. There's nothing wrong with that. But being moved by just news and narratives is not a proper investment strategy. You want to also look at the fundamentals and the technicals. All right, so that's the video for today. I hope you guys like this video. If you like this video, if you enjoyed this video, like this video, hit the like button, comment down below what you guys think. I hope everyone has a great day. Subscribe to the channel, share the video with anyone that you know, and also turn on your post notifications so that you are notified every time I post a video. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have an amazing day. Thank you.